All right, we're recording. Okay, we can start the facilities meeting. It is 6 o'clock.
Right, so we have three things on the agenda. There was a new electronic sign that we're looking into. We had somebody come out and give a quote. We have two other ones we're waiting for. Is that correct, Dennis?
So we're looking at three different companies, getting pricing from them. The last company that we're waiting for will be supplying us with two quotes for two different options for the sign. One is a lower definition, the other is a higher definition.
Is this sign not working at all now?
Yeah, so we're not able to communicate with our existing sign at all. And then we're also the software that you have to use to push the presentations to the sign looks like it was coded in like 93. So it's very limiting as to what kinds of content we can put on the sign.
Can we like hook an Xbox up to it? Plan?
Yeah, pretty.
How old is the sign?
To be honest, I do not know. It's been here since I've been here, and I've been here about 5.5 years.
It's about 7 years.
7, 6.5, 7.
Okay, and then we were looking to replace some of the damage of the signs on the Ridge Road. So that was just kind of to let you guys know that we're going to start looking into pricing on that. And then the Site Logic presentation, we have not yet received a report from them. So as soon as that comes in, it'll be given to the committee to review.
Do we have any timeline on when that would be coming?
I believe by next month, because I think if Bill can answer that, they were still on the roof just this last week again.
They were here today with quite a few several contractors on the roof, and they will have their presentation ready for the May meeting.
Okay.
Great.
With regards to the sign, not Site Logic, did you guys, what are you gonna do when we get rid of it? No, I'm just kidding. No. How much, you said you already got a few quotes?
Are we going back to the digital side?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we got quotes from two companies, and then we had a company come out and actually demo a sign for us, showing their actual product.
Where is this price point? I just was curious of a number, please.
So we're looking at around 16 to 20.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Is this in one of our budgets, this expenditure?
For this year, it could come out of some of the equipment money yet. So depending on when we can find out how much it is and when we can get it, we would have money for it this year.
Okay, thank you.
And then also just say the 16 to 20 are the two companies we've gotten quotes from, not this third and last one. I don't know where they're gonna come in at.
I understand. I was trying to figure out if we were around 70,000 or like, you know.
And that also includes labor too, to have the company swap out our existing sign and mount the new one.
And how are the new radios working out now?
So we're having some bugs with them, and I've got the guy that we purchased them from. He's coming out on Tuesday, and we're gonna take a look at all the settings and stuff that we have, even though we really haven't changed much. We just want to kind of review that with us. So they are operational, but we are getting some users are having troubles with getting the transmissions. It's intermittent. Sometimes they're getting them, sometimes they're not. So they're pretty good, but we're working out some bugs yet.
Like, is it random location, or are we having a consistent problem like behind the building back there sometimes?
So
Like never sometimes here, like right here.
So it's intermittent all like across the
Oh,
board. Yeah, it's intermittent across the board. It doesn't seem to be in one specific location.
All right. Yeah, it's not gonna work.
What's that?
I said it's not gonna work.
Like I said, I got a guy coming. He's 100% confident that we should be able to that the solution should work in our environment. He's got other schools that are using it that are bigger campuses than what we have. So I don't know, he's kind of going in the direction of maybe we got a bad batch of radios.
I was gonna say, can you just see if our hardware was refurbished or something possibly?
Yeah, so that's
And
he's gonna be looking into all that. So I'm working closely with him to get this up and running.
Well, is that it then? That was a short facilities meeting.
It was only 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's almost good.
Okay, we have 6 minutes left.
Okay.
So what other buildings do we want to talk about?
Well, I guess we could go off and then come back and do finance.
Yep.
In 5 minutes.
Would you like me to pause the recording then?
Yes, please. Thank you.
And we're recording.
Okay, we'll start the finance committee meeting. Teresa, you're up.
Okay, so the first thing up is on the agenda is to review that the IU addendum for the 3-year contract for the business office services will be on as a board motion. I was wondering if anybody had any questions. It's basically the same contract. There was an increase of 3% on that. Any question?
What does that contract cover?
That covers the business manager position, the payroll, and then an accounting position. So basically, almost all of the business office services except for the accounts payable, who is an employee of the tech school.
Do we have the ability to back out of that contract? I mean, this is a 3-year contract. We locked into the 3 years?
And I think it has a 180-day clause to get out of the contract.
Okay, all right.
I did see that there was an item in here for software for accounting that had payroll with that as well.
Okay, so are you talking about a board motion?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's an HR package.
so it's
that's the
not,
software itself that goes with Infinite Visions. So we use Infinite Visions for the accounting package. And then that would be the software that would be added in for Tracy to be able to, like, what she does reads into the payroll and the regular accounting.
oh, okay, that's why I was kind of confused if that should come with the IU package, if it was being used by
No,
IU
that's
stuff,
just your
okay.
it's like the tech school software.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Instead of doing Excel spreadsheets,
Mhm.
this will help us become more efficient.
So then we have.
I mean, there's
also-
something more efficient than an Excel spreadsheet?
Pen and paper.
Just. Sorry.
So we're also looking, if you remember, we have in the budget for this year to upgrade our servers. And if you have technical questions, that's going to be for Dennis. But he has been trying to get some quotes. They've been coming in very slow. So we're kind of getting nervous that if we don't get what he's really looking for by the end of the school year, by the time they build them, they're not going to be here by June 30th. So I did talk to the auditor, and if the finance committee approves it, we could make a transfer from the general fund to the capital projects fund, and then we could just use that money to pay for it when the stuff comes in, if it's after June 30th from the capital projects. So,
That being the issue because we don't have a July meeting, right?
well, we don't have a
Or
July
June
meeting,
either.
but if it takes them, and again, the technical part, I don't know how they have to build them, or if the parts all come together, if they're not here all and received by June 30th, it can't go to this fiscal year. So, by the time we get the pricing, it comes to you guys for approval, and then we order it, it could be then, it's gonna be after obviously the May meeting now, and if it doesn't come in within 6 weeks, then it'll have to go to the next fiscal year where we did not budget it. So I would like to put a motion on the agenda for next month to transfer $70,000 from the general fund to the capital projects account.
Are servers considered capital?
They can do that.
Okay.
So
How much of our usage is cloud-based now, too? Are you as reliant on servers as you once were?
So, yeah, we do have a decent amount of services that we still have in-house. So, the business office application was a major one that we pulled online, but we do a lot of mostly file server type stuff that we're using in-house.
Yeah. I built my own file server, just in case, I took an old computer, it still runs Windows XP.
Year was
If you
1997.
ever need help,
I was running Unix. The DOS that just came out.
Usually a full file shares Active Directory and printer.
Yeah, we got print server, yeah.
Print server and stuff like that, it's everything.
Okay, and then, so we have the food service agreement with Penn Ridge. There's going to be, we're looking to do a 1-year renewal for that. I believe it's on in front of their finance committee, either it did this week or it will be. Okay. So that will be on next month's agenda then, unless there's any questions or any concerns that came out of that meeting, so.
I think there was.
Okay, all right, so then you'll see that on next month's agenda.
And that's just the same thing we do every year, right?
Yeah.
It's always renew year to year.
Yeah.
It's never.
Yeah,
We paying her any, they paying anymore or?
as far as I know, no, but I would have anticipated that if they wanted a price increase coming from that, you guys from Penn Ridge would have initiated that piece.
And we should just eat it all for us, right? The food.
So then, I'm gonna open the
It's
budget.
cafeteria too.
I will open the budget next month for all the grants, so we can accept the grants. If you recall, we have received quite a few this year. So you'll see that motion on the agenda. I just wanted to let you know that that will be coming next month. And then, actually, what I'm waiting for is that $200,000 grant for the Job Ready. We signed the paper back in January, but we haven't received the funds yet, and I was really hoping to have gotten it for this month, but we didn't receive it yet, so. And then just as another note for budgetary transfers will be coming next month. I just want to let you guys know that I'm anticipating that the legal is going to be about $25,000 over budget with our legal line this year.
Oh, is that why he left the room just now?
That's Megan's phone on
Man.
speed dial to David Kahn.
Every call we take, we have Megan for 15 minutes block. I don't have his number, so I know it's not.
And that makes two of us, so we're covered.
So do we know what those for? Can we get a?
Yeah, I mean, there's different things for negotiations.
Yeah,
Because we
and
have
that's most of it,
several
is a lot of it.
negotiations, but yeah, there are, I mean, the articles of agreement went through. There was a lot of issues with COVID coming up this year and.
Is that
leaving.
attached to this? I can't see it, I'm not logged in.
No, I did not attach it on there because Mr. Khan said we had to be careful of what things I would have to go through and mark out.
Redact
certain-
things.
Yeah.
Do we have to
I did not-
vote on approving this for payment this evening, or can we bump it to next month so that we have a chance to look at it?
Well, we vote on them monthly, and I'm sure if there's any concerns, they can adjust any follow-up billing.
There should be a
But I
bills
don't,
payable, right?
Right,
That was just the total,
I know, but my point is, it's gonna be in the bills payable tonight.
some of it.
In between now and tonight, I'm gonna look at it, is that okay?
That's fine. And then again, it was just information on the different grants we received. We just found out today that the GEER2 opened up. We're eligible for $187,000. So Jeff and I have until May 10th to get that done. So we'll be working on that. Also on the board agenda will be the divot 2-year commitment, so that you guys have to vote to accept to go with the 2 years on that. And we will receive the rate relief credit of $43,993 by committing to 2 years. And we also received the final look that came in from the premium increase came down to 4.55%. And that does not reflect the relief credit in there.
So that was less
And how
than
does-
anticipated as well.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be, well, budgeted was at 8%, and then our first look was at 4.95%, and then it came in at a 4.55% increase.
oh, great.
So, and then the site logic report, just as you said, and the facilities is still outstanding. So that's pretty much it for finance. If anybody has any questions?
And the GER2, that's the federal,
Governors,
for $20 million that the governor put out for us.
Secondary school, or trade school.
Yeah, we finally, so first, the GER1 was 10 million, this one's 20 million, there's supposed to be a third one coming out, but we don't know when that will happen, but right now it looks like most or all of the funding is going to have to be spent on COVID-related expenses. So as a group, working with the other directors, you know, we've already replaced our filters with HEPA filters. We're looking at purifiers, which we already did that with our water fountains. Some of them are looking at AirPods for some of the students, laptops, bottle fillers, software, anything that we're going to be able to use, or certifications as well.
Wait, AirPods? Can you talk me through AirPods?
Mhm. And we bought all new cameras. We're the
Oh, the web.
the GoPros. We bought all new GoPros to for our instructors to be able to record their lessons. So if the students aren't in school, they can just go on the website and watch the lesson while they're at home. So all of those things, cleaning supplies, anything that, you know, will be able, if this continues or this revs back up again, you know, students that aren't going to come in face to face need an opportunity to be able to learn what's going on.
Mr. Gerhard had mentioned before about a dinosaur of an HVAC, was it an air handling unit or one of the things up on one of the roofs?
Well, that's going to be in SiteLogix.
Yeah, but that would also qualify for those COVID-related expenses as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because we'll be updating it to a higher SEER, seasonal injury efficiency ratio.
Yeah.
So once you start getting into the higher SEERs, you're also going to get some rebates from the government because you're, you know, saving electricity.
So I thought that those government rebates though could be used for anything because it was really to offset any cost of keeping the schools open. So that's kind of
Not-
what they said at our business.
Not.
Our business office said that it's anything that keeps school anyway, any kind of billing that keeps schools open, which is basically everything.
It's not quite that, it's not quite that direct, though. It's weird language, but unlike most federal grants, the money that's coming are what they call supplant rather than supplement. So you can replace any federal funding with this, rather than simply adding some federal funding like to your title or your food service, whatever it would be. The indirect effect means, though, that you can basically shift funds around all you want. You do have to document that you're shifting funds around. But for example, if you had all your food service coming in, you know, the federal money, you get a reimbursement on food. If you decide you're going to use the federal money to supplant that, then that frees up the money that you used to have in the food service and you can put it somewhere else. And informally, we've heard they're going to be very forgiving about those kinds of transfers. So indirectly, there may be a very broad use of the funds, but you at least have to have a paper trail that it's coming towards.
But an air
So-
handler,
Wait, so are you?
Air handler is clearly within.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
within.
Well, so just to be clear then, you can help guide our business office on how to use the money to basically cover everything we already have, so we don't just spend
No, it's-
money just to spend
No,
it.
it's
Because
30,000.
if we have things that we
I'll go
need,
for 25.
the legal expenses.
so just to be clear, if there's things that we need that are COVID related, then we should buy them with that money. But I don't want us just spending the money on things to be able to use up the funds when we can creatively use up those funds for expenses we're already incurring. And so that's the point, is I'd like
One
us,
cautionary note though, which is not to use those funds for recurring expenses.
Right.
Because you have to live with them the following year.
Right, so if you want it done, so we've been putting some ideas out there on the whiteboard, like outdoor classroom space. You know, we're looking at possibly, you know, outdoor dining for a restaurant or a restaurant, you know, those types of things will qualify. So they're one and done type of expenditures. We don't want to do something and then we have to keep paying for it year after year after year. So maybe another van because of taking our kids. Now we're not gonna be able to put, you know, 11 kids in a van. Now we can only put 6 kids in a van. So those types of things is what we're gonna be looking at, or necessities. And we're pretty pretty frugal with our funding that comes in. We're pretty frugal with all the grants that we're writing, so we're making sure that, you know, we sit down as a team and we look at what we actually need, what we can do, what's gonna, you know, enhance our school. And then I'm talking with all the directors throughout the, you know, Lehigh, Berks, Bucks County. So, you know, we're just throwing all types of ideas out there because we're trying to figure out what we can use it for, and staying within those parameters.
So I'm not suggesting that you're not being frugal, because I think that you are, but if you have grant money and you have to use it, it would be silly to leave any of that money on the table. And so certainly you'd want to be using it. But my point was, I didn't want you to feel like you had to use it in this direction if you can use it on expenses that we're already incurring to offset that. And I know that maybe it's something where you could even talk to the other, like I know Sean Dalbert, and I'll double check with him to see if I'm misphrasing what he said. But I know that he was using it to offset our costs, and maybe it's because he's already doing it that way. And he just gave us the end result without telling us the you know, the sausage making behind the scenes part of it. But then maybe you could reach out and see how he's doing that, and if there's some way that we can do the same kind of thing over here.
Well, the other thing that we have to keep an eye on is when we write the grant, we have to say what it's measurable for. So there's also like certifications, and I'm not sure if it's the same exact wording, and maybe you know, for the CTEs as it is for the school district. So that's the other thing, because it is definitely.
I will be annoyed if it is different, because clearly for school districts, there's an understanding amongst most of the business managers that that's going to be forgiven. So I will be annoyed if CDs are being treated differently.
Yeah.
With these grant dollars, I'm trying to get a wording, ask Megan. Is there a time frame on when these funds have been used or will be used?
Yeah.
Okay, because again, I've run in a couple different federal programs in the county, and there's federal money that's been through and acted through the state, different acts, different Senate bills approved, and there's a litany of questions, but timeframes as to when the dollars can be utilized and how far back or how far forward you can have an expenditure that you want to use.
So this
So-
was March 1st through, I think, June 30th of 22.
June 30th of 22.
So it's March of 2020,
It's March of
2020,
March of 2021
21.
to June 30th of 2022.
Okay, so that's the time frame.
But we have to go on eGrant and fill out multiple.
No, okay. Because sometimes they'll give you time to go back in time,
Right.
which put you a year before where you had certain expenditures, but they're not allowing that.
Well, for one, they did, right?
But for
The
some
first
of them
one,
they
yeah.
did, but then
For
that's
number
where
one,
I
they
have
did.
to be very
Okay.
careful, because we've had so many grants. Some of them were to make the kids stay in school. Some of them were for if the kids weren't in school. So it's like, and then we're pulling and recoding where the things go. So it's like, you have to just be really.
That's why you love spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So you need more than one. This is an excellent time for school districts to add air conditioning to, you know, older buildings that maybe didn't have proper air handling before. But the problem is now finding a contractor that can come in and do those things
You're not getting.
during
for
this
500 bucks an
window
hour.
that you have to spend the money is,
It's limited,
yep.
it really is.
So hopefully we can graduate some people to get out in the field and start
Come right in
installing
here.
some air conditioning.
We can hire our immediate first employees to do our own HVAC program. Exactly, I think Jeff knows a little bit about it.
So does anyone have any other questions? I'll pull the invoices for the bills pending for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
4 minutes? All right, we're good.
Hold on. Wait, is this the agenda? Yes. Let me do this. No, this isn't it. You know, oh, great. No, this is easy. No, that's not, this is like nothing. All right, well then we'll start the programs committee meeting. This is facilities.
You? Basically just a recap of Tuesday's programs committee meeting.
Well, I thought you said that you were talking about some other programs that you wanted to look at opening.
I wanted to start maybe a conversation or the thoughts of possible programs for the 22-23 school year. We're looking at an exercise science program, potential exercise science program. Been in contact with St. Luke's out on 663. They have great interest in partnering with the Upper Bucks County Technical School. They also want to look at and partner with our health careers program as well. So I think that would be a nice program to implement for the 22-23 school year. We also, for maybe the 23-24 school year, looking at maybe a cyber security program. We're still doing some research on that, but it would be another, not a very high expense program to start. And I think the interest is out there. I know that we look at workforce development, we look at the data, exercise science, everyone needs, physical therapists, everyone needs trainers, cybersecurity. Of course, we all know that that's really has been blown up since COVID. And I think it's going to continue. So it's a higher level program, but we have the students that will be able to, set it in there. So I just want to get you guys thinking. I want to start planning. So if we're gonna move forward with the exercise science, I'd like to get sometime in early spring. I'll have all the data put together for your review, so I can put it on our catalog, send out to the school districts when they are signing up for programs, and then we'll advertise and we'll be able to get it running by the 22-23 school year.
Is there a way in which you could kind of bounce the cybersecurity program or possible of having it during the same time frame?
I can send out surveys to the 3 districts.
Yeah, because I think that is probably, from my perspective in running our office, that is the most critical issue right now. And when I talk to all the banks that we deal with, they are scrambling on a continual basis. And they are finding that they're getting hits at phenomenal rates. And every time they build a firewall, they're in a position of rebuilding it again. So I just think the cybersecurity issue is really critical. And I think if the school can get behind something like that, sooner than later, you're better off.
I think the IU has some pretty talented cybersecurity staff there. So it might be helpful to reach out to some of them as well. And I don't know what your
Well, these 2 guys right here,
yeah.
pretty talented.
So you already have that too. So would they be teaching it? What's that?
Nothing.
So I guess if we were looking to roll that out in the, whether it's the 2022 or 2023 school year, can we develop a timeline for rolling out that program and start to bring some monthly updates to the program committee? And what is the timeline for creating the program and the curriculum and all of that, so all of that's in place before we get to a point of hiring? And
yeah, it takes about a year. So I have, start forming OAC members. I have to start out there knocking on doors and start filling all the paperwork out for PDE, for the CAT system. And then I send all the information into the Department of Ed and they give me approval or not. So I want to, make sure I get a head start. I want to start working on that this summer and start the process a little bit earlier than later. So then by mid-fall, somewhere in that range, we should have a pretty good idea of what needs to be accomplished.
okay, so mid-fall, you're thinking you'll be able to bring a plan forward, and then by the, you'll have, and then by the early, you said something about data early spring.
Yeah, we're gonna, the data right now, I'm putting data together for our current programs that have to get reapproved. It's due May 30th. Perkins 5 is a little bit more stringent than Perkins 4. So I'm putting all that data together to make sure all of our programs are reapproved for next year. Then there's a window to add new programs, and I have to make sure I have all my data for that window when the window opens to send it in for their approval. And I wait to come back, I'll wait to hear from them to come back. And once they get that approved, then I can keep moving it forward.
So you want to present this mid-fall and then have all of that together to submit the data by next spring, early spring,
Yeah,
or the following year? Is that-
way before that, because we start advertising, our students enrollment opens up in January, February, right, Mike?
So if our
So
enrollment.
I want to make sure,
Right.
that I have everything lined up, ready to go, so I can attach it to my catalog when I send it out to the 3 districts. So the students understand that this is an option that they may have, that they'll have.
So as far as developing the curriculum, then where does that fit into the timeline?
Well,
Or hiring?
I'll look at the couple of sending districts. Bethlehem area Career and Tech Center started one 3 years ago. Actually, Dr. O'Connell and I went up there 3 years ago, and they already have an established curriculum. So
Great.
we'll just, there's 83 of us. We work closely together, so we beg, borrow, and steal each other's curriculum as we need. And PD has to set guidelines on the type of education that the instructor would need. So I just make sure I follow all of those, and then I think that and the cybersecurity will be our 2 top new programs that we can possibly look at.
Right.
For
And
the,
if we're talking about,
Absolutely.
if we're talking about that rolling out the following year, starting in the fall is when I think you start to have the different districts sending kids out to learn about new programs and having, staff from here go over to the districts. And so it'll be helpful when we start to do that process where they're thinking about what they want to do the following year, if we can have, some kind of introduction to those new programs that'll be coming out too. So that way they know that, this is going to be coming out that following year as an option for them too. That'd be helpful.
Forgive me, I missed it. It was cybersecurity, and what was the other second one?
Exercise
exercise
science.
science,
Exercise science. Is that like a spin-off?
physical therapy, type of program, athletic trainers, things like that. So, there's a pretty wide network.
Are we gonna have to hire a new instructor for that program? And the other program, the computer science-based program, that's gonna be our first of the type. So we're talking about another instructor there too.
Right, you're looking at 2 more instructors, 2 new instructors, 2 more instructors adding on to two new programs.
You have the space for 2 new programs?
Yeah,
And I mean, come on, let's be real, that computer science program is not gonna keep one teacher busy all year round. I don't think we're gonna fill up.
Cybersecurity?
Yeah.
Oh, cybersecurity is huge.
You'll
Yeah.
have them,
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah, they'll be lit up.
Alright.
Yeah.
And he should know, he does it all the time.
All right.
So be busy.
Now, when you
There's a
go
big
to the middle school
investment into the startup.
to
yeah.
speak, do you just go to the 8th graders or do you start talking to 7th,
we
6th?
we talk to everybody
Okay,
when
so,
we're allowed to go back in.
yeah, so because, it would be good to, once we have an idea of what these programs are, say this is a possibility that this is coming, and it may pique some of these kids' interest, a year ahead of time before they would be ready to come. So in 2 years then.
Right, so I want to try to get all of that stuff before we start working on our budget, because we have to make sure it's all in the budget for the 22-23 school year as well. So all of that starts right when we come back in the spring, or right when we come back in the fall, actually. So it's the window's really tight, but I just bring it to just for you guys to start thinking about it, I want to start working on, bringing a presentation to you guys, hopefully early in the beginning of the school year.
I think that'd be
It's
really
called,
great.
it's called August.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I do want to see what the budget's gonna look like for a teacher within those specialties, not just
Mm-hmm.
the average teacher. I want to know
Yep.
if you're gonna hire somebody in both those specialties, especially the computer science focused teacher. I'd like to know what kind of salary they're making.
I'll have all of that broken down.
I mean, I guess that would be on the chart, right? I mean, you know,
Mhm.
because they're gonna make the same amount as everyone else, so.
That's a competitive field,
That's why I'm thinking, like, it's gonna be hard to find somebody for $110.
but it's a competitive field, but it's also a high stress field. And somebody may want to leave,
Stress?
somebody may want to leave a higher stress environment to come teach students, so.
Wait a minute, I don't know the difference between. one
Yeah.
and the other.
Competitive and high stress?
Part of it.
So if I'm understanding this, you're gonna come in August with a
Well,
pretty good idea how to get this physical.
don't write all
I-
this down.
I'm sorry, I locked you into that.
August.
I mean, if you wanna
Jeff,
get
I
it to-
actually wrote down early fall.
Yeah, I did, I wrote,
I thought he
you
said
said,
August.
you
Well, I
said,
did, I
mid-
just figured I'd.
Actually, I wrote mid-fall.
you said
On
mid-fall,
my
but
paper.
you said mid-fall, but when do the schools start to bring kids out, to start introducing them to all the programs we have, isn't that?
Well, we're gonna, I'm hoping that, it opens up that we're allowed to do that again. Tours come through here, when do they start coming in here?
Yeah, so
When?
can we say,
In October,
can we
so,
say early fall, so that way we have
That's what I had.
some kind of
Early
introduction
fall.
to what we're talking about,
That's August.
early fall?
And you making Dennis nervous about all these hacker kids
Early
coming
fall
in here and
slash
working?
August.
There you go.
Segmented now.
Challenge accepted, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah, that's gonna be one of their projects, right? Can you
Hack
hack
into
into?
their-
Hey, maybe we're looking at it as a teacher.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, see that? Dennis, you don't have enough on your plate, do you? We can expand your job to include teaching cybersecurity, right?
It's gonna be like Batman in 4 years. Midnight, trying to fix everything they messed up.
You don't need to go home at all,
You
right?
just get a
You know,
segmented
we can
network.
keep you busy.
What is the first door any cybersecurity person's going to try to break down?
Wireless.
No, the one that they're behind in this building.
Whatever allows you to plug in a USB drive.
Do you wanna?
Boom.
do you wanna
so we have
summarize-
7 minutes
You wanna
left.
summarize the meeting from the other night or not?
Well, I think we're gonna summarize it again in the board meeting, so I might as well just wait and summarize it then, so we don't have to summarize it twice, because the public is probably gonna be more at that meeting than this meeting, so I think it probably makes sense just to summarize that there. But yeah, so as far as this, you know, you can kind of decide whether or not you can do, or, so did we decide cybersecurity would be 22, 23, or 23, 24?
I'm gonna present both.
Both of the same, okay.
We'll come up with a budget for both, so that way you guys know what you're gonna wind up paying, so when I take it to.
So then you can tell me,
There you
we're
go.
not doing any of them.
Sometimes that happens, Jeff.
I know. I
The demand will be there though.
Yep.
It'll be,
Setting
the demand will be
expectations.
there. And please pick a big classroom.
A big classroom?
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of kids in it.
Can't be
Well,
more than,
I think it's
15,
gonna be
I
however
know.
many
I
kids
was
you put in that
being-
program, right?
I was being facetious, I was kidding, but yeah.
No, Dave, I think
Really
Dave's volunteering to teach it, and he wants like 150 kids in his one class, and he wants he wants to have like the
He
cafeteria,
wants to.
and he wants you to
auditorium
pack it full of
class.
kids.
Jeff, I want you to rethink that totally.
Yeah. Oh, you mean
guys
hire
don't
Dave?
send me-
There you go, see?
This could be a classroom.
Yeah, right here, baby. There you go.
That for me.
That's all you need.
All right.
It's all you need.
That's all I.
We could have our meetings in the,
Cafeteria, right?
well, the cafeteria or the restaurant.
Ah.
Just need an
Tax.
internet connection.
See, now we're talking, Chris. I like your style.
yeah, especially if it's just a small group, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're good then on programs?
Good.
Nice.
All right.
Hi, everyone. During tonight's JOC meeting, we're policies 103, 146.1, 203, 207, 209, 209.1, and 209.2 are listed on tonight's agenda for second reading and adoption. We previously discussed these in committee and first reading. Is there any discussion from the policy as a whole committee? Any comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Hearing none, policies 210, 210.1, and the deletion of policies 210.2 and 211 are included on tonight's agenda for public comment and first reading. A couple additions. Ms. Clemens asked about the application with the epinephrine auto-injector and the different courses. And we followed up with that of the recognized state-approved courses. And Mrs. Reinheimer is the one who oversees that. So in terms of the implementation, we feel very comfortable should this policy be moved eventually for adoption. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of this batch of policies? Okay, hearing none. And tonight our policy as a whole committee is going to review policy 208, withdrawal from school, 219, student complaint process, 234, pregnant married students, 240, awards, and 252, dating violence, which is a new policy put out by the state. And as you know, all of these policies are come through PSBA. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this batch of policies?
Are these new policies, out of them all new, or?
Yes, this third batch is in committee and for discussion only. And if we move them forward, they'll go to first reading and for public comment next month.
I mean, are these new policies?
Oh, just
Or do they
252. 252 dating violence is a new one.
Okay.
And this is committee now?
Yeah.
Yes, can we go through them? Would you read them?
The,
Can you put them up?
Would you put them up? Would you read
Sure.
them?
okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not logged in. I apologize. I don't know my password, and so otherwise I'd be in Board Docs.
Mr.
I do it every other
can I share my screen, please?
Every other meeting,
come sit
every
next
other
to
month,
me.
I forget, I sit and trace every time I
Every-
password, I'm like.
I don't know how to do
Depends
that.
on the meeting, I'm logged in, I'm not.
I just look.
You mean you're not logged into Board Docs or on your
Board Docs.
Wi-Fi?
Board Docs.
Yeah.
So I could look at the policies.
Yeah, because you
Can't
notice,
see 'em.
you can't see 252 at all,
No.
because it's a new one.
Yeah, I think so.
I actually can't see the old ones either.
Is it gonna load?
Right. 'Cause I'm not logged
You
in.
won't be on there at all.
Can't see them all either. I'm not logged in.
Actually, I am logged in and I don't have 252 on mine here.
Gotta go to the
Yeah.
draft policies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in policies, but
Go there and policy, gotta hit draft.
that's why 252 is not showing up. Now it will.
Okay, sure.
They got you running around like crazy.
Okay.
Let the computer expert tell you how to.
There it is.
Mr. Conlon, 208, withdrawal
Jim will
from
teach the
school.
IT
Yeah.
security.
See that?
Up first.
Which one is this?
This is withdrawal from school, policy 208.
And they're not, we don't know exactly what that language is. But it just basically explains that we removed some language where, of course, a student may withdraw from school or drop out of class without the foreknowledge that it's gonna happen. And we had some obligatory steps that looked like they needed to take so that they could readmit themselves into a classroom when they came back. And we're changing that.
We're changing it just with the minor. Students are able to transfer during the year if they want to go through different programs, et cetera. We make every effort to make sure and provide counseling and resources of the importance of staying in the school and mediating any concerns that the students have. We want to see retention of our students. We do very well here. It's very important that we look at each student on an individual basis. We have great relationships with the sending schools and their counselors to make sure that they're in the appropriate program. So what this is saying is if a student decided to go back for a variety of different reasons, they would reapply next year through the track and through the enroll system. And then we work with the sending schools to replace them into other programs next year. The assessment of student progress, these are, it's deleted. The recommendation is to have that language in policy 127 and 212, reporting student progress. The student complaint process, we value student voice here at Upper Bucks County Tech School. We believe that students have a right to advocate for themselves. And if they're not happy with a particular program, that we would work through a very formal process and listen to them. It's very similar to our public complaint process. We would try to work with the student, listen to them, try to remediate it, and there's different steps throughout that process. The pregnant married students, deleted language. Basically, and this is a legal statement, that they don't have to declare marital status at the time of marriage or enrollment in school. The language was not recommended by PSBA. And always
Is that on the application?
No.
Okay. Why is it in there then?
Why is what in it?
Why are we removing it?
It's a protected category under PHRA.
But it just happens to be in there as
It's
something.
been,
that
it's,
can
it's old, yeah, it's leftover old language, so
Okay.
frankly, should probably have never been there, but.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the awards is something unique to Upper Bucks County Tech School. We try to promote the accomplishments and success of our students. We do that through National Technical Honor Society, First Honors. But this is unique to our school. We do a student of the month, of the program, the senior student. And that's very nice to acknowledge the students' efforts and success at the tech school. So those are just some minor formatting edits. And the new policy, dating violence, Mr. Khan, that goes along with the Title IX, and we're using the same format for students to report dating violence. And the investigatory component for us to review it. And this policy talks about training for our staff, our counselors and nurse and parents to make sure that those relationships are positive and we're not seeing any dating violence among our, student body.
Could you go back and just scroll up to the 210, 210.01 so that I can just see it real quick? 'Cause
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. I think the policy as a whole committee, any questions or concerns? Does everyone recommend that we move these to the next steps?
Yes.
Okay, great. And that's my report, and I thank everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're done.
Unmuted.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We'll begin begin the April 15 meeting of the JOC with the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America,
and to the
the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation.
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have the roll call, please.
Mr. Howell?
Ma'am, here.
Here.
Mr.
Here. Here.
Someone is unmuted.
Are we
Hey,
okay?
Jim, can you hit mute on your?
Me?
Jim.
It's not here, it doesn't matter.
Mr. Misantry,
Yes, ma'am. Here.
Mr. Akmanowitz,
Present.
Mr.
I am here.
Yeah, all present. We'll have recognition and comments from the audience. There will be a little bit of discussion on the program. Motion that's listed is not what we'll be discussing. There'll be something similar to it, but it won't be that particular motion. So at that point, do we have any comments?
Well,
So you want me
Yeah.
to, so first,
Okay.
so I'm just gonna give a summary of the programs committee as well as the recommendation as far as a motion tonight before we go into public comment, because that may answer a lot of the questions and comments that we might be getting. So just to kind of preempt that, we did have a programs committee meeting recently, last Tuesday. And in that meeting, it was really helpful to hear from people in the public, community members, parents, teachers, and students, and give us some more perspective about the different opinions on whether or not to combine baking and culinary or not. And we all took that information after that meeting and started to try to think outside the box and what are some other ways that we can be creative to try to meet the needs of everyone and the direction that all of our kids are looking to go, so that we can make all of our students as marketable as possible and have the skill set they need no matter what direction they choose in those fields when they graduate. And so in some of that process, Mr. Herrera went through and contacted all of our current students, all of our students who enrolled for next year, as well as went through the essays. When our kids go into a program, they submit essays talking about, what program they want to go into and why. And, so just looking at some of the feedback, it was really almost completely evenly split from the people that were contacted, from all of the people that were contacted. For both current baking students and incoming baking students. And in addition to that, almost all of the kids who picked either culinary or baking as their first choice picked the opposite program as their second choice. And one of the things that was really consistent in the essays that they wrote going into the program, both current and future students, was that they were interested in the culinary and baking fields. And, then they each went in one direction or the other, depending on, having to choose and which one they went to. Based on the feedback that we received, it's clear that there are some students who want to have a specific baking experience and go into the baking field, as well as some students who want to have the combination of both skill sets when they graduate to expand their skill set going into the field. And so we were trying to look at different ways that we could accomplish all of those goals and really help differentiate the instruction in a way that kids can really pick the direction that they're going and have that freedom, while taking into account that we have a baking instructor who is, who excels in the baking area, and a culinary teacher who excels in the culinary area, and the benefits that brings to our kids, that they have someone in each of those fields who really can help the students who want to go further in each of those fields in each direction. And so one of the things that PDE offers is they have clusters where they define what programs based on, if certain programs are in the same cluster, those programs qualify for pathways programs. So you can form a pathway program where you essentially can put the two programs together so that at the beginning, the kids get an introduction to both programs. And then throughout their time here, they can specialize in one direction or the other. So really in 3 different directions, if they want to be more baking specific, if they want to be more culinary specific, or if they really want the well-rounded experience of both. And so by doing a pathways program, all of those students would benefit from the experience of our baking teacher in the baking field, and all of those students would benefit from the culinary experience of our culinary teacher. And so we can work to develop curriculum that really allows the kids to develop, that really allows those 3 different pathways, so the kids have those choices, and as they go through can start to figure out what direction makes the most sense to them with where they're looking to go in their future. And so what the recommendation is going to be in the motion that's going to be coming up in this meeting is going to be to develop a pathways program over the next year, really so that we would have monthly updates coming to the programs committee up until January, with the expectation that in January we'll have the full presentation and curriculum developed for what that's going to look like in the pathways program to start the 22-23 school year. And essentially what that would entail is we would have a baking teacher, a culinary teacher would all be combined, would be carrying both SIPs so that the kids can graduate with a culinary SIP if they choose, or a baking SIP if they choose, and really help design their own pathway. And so as part of that process, it's important to have our teachers involved in that, so they would be part of the committee that develops. So we would have our baking teacher and our culinary teacher involved in that process of developing, along with Mr. Herrera and whomever else makes sense, to be able to work on what that pathway program is going to look like and how that is laid out over 4 years and what that curriculum is going to be like. And also working with PDE on the requirements for the pathways and making sure that the curriculum that we're designing and the way that we're looking to use the pathway program works within the parameters that they're setting for us. And Mr. Suida is going to reach out to PDE to see if we could have a representative come to our next programs committee meeting to speak to the JOC about the pathways program and answer questions specific to what can be done, what can't be done, and what those parameters are as we try to set up this program to best meet the needs of our kids going forward. And so what that means to everyone who, just to try to answer some questions, your kids, whether they're in the baking program or the culinary program, will graduate with whichever SIP they choose. And we would continue to carry both of those SIPs. They would still be able to specialize in which area they want. As students come in, they can get the background in both, and there's flexibility to go in whichever direction. So
I know that we have a pathways program.
yeah, sure.
We have a pathways program we're building in Quakertown. It's going to be very much similar, but on a much smaller scale, because we have like just one cluster that we're doing that here. Now, I'm sure Dr. Hoffman would be happy to share any information with you guys, to help get you guys started with. If you can't figure it out, yeah. I know you guys are capable, but.
And then, the other thing that helps with, we have a lot of kids, from year to year that end up being waitlisted or switching from one program to another. This would kind of eliminate that concern because they'd all start out, they would all be under that same umbrella. And so they really all are kids of the baking teacher and all are kids of the culinary teacher in one aspect or another, as obviously that gets limited as they go further into their years there. but it would help us incorporate more of them. You know, we could also hire an aide that handles the front of the house of the restaurant piece of that, which would, you know, so there's ways to expand and give us some more flexibility with that program as well. And then the other piece of that, though, going forward is, you know, in advance of, you know, because this won't happen until 22, 23, we'd like to really see our baking program get to have some, you know, some input into the restaurant piece of this with developing, you know, because our kids, you know, if they're going to be hired as a pastry chef at a restaurant, they're going to be plating desserts and they're going to be serving those desserts. And so to try to incorporate them into the restaurant and then be able to do that and have, you know, some items on that menu as well that come from the baking side of things, you know, we'd like to see that happen a little bit, you know, starting as soon as it makes sense, you know, ahead of time. And then just so that I don't have to do a second programs report, we also had a programs committee meeting this evening, and that focused on the idea of adding 2 new programs. One is an exercise science program, which is essentially for kids going into the physical therapy or athletic training field. And so the idea is to try to develop that program and present it and look at the data and, you know, with the hopes of opening that program in the 22-23 school year, as well as a cybersecurity program, and also trying to look to add that program in the 22-23 school year. And we have the additional space, so this is literally just adding 2 programs. So.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a not quite so brief summary of what went on, but it was constructive. So at this point, do we have public comments on agenda items, which include what Ms. Vanis Clemens just presented? Somebody, anybody? There's a lot of people here. I can't imagine nobody wants to say anything.
You can raise your digital hand too, if you want to catch our attention now.
How do you want to do it, Dennis?
Dr. Francis.
Yeah, Dr. Francine Mars, looks like she's got her hand raised, I think.
Okay.
Hey, good evening. That was actually really good news. I'm glad to hear the tracks that were spoken about. The question that I have is, have you thought about or planning on thinking about adding an entrepreneurship piece to that regarding both for baking and for culinary? I know you were talking about a food truck potentially and or incorporating that into the current program or into the new program. Is that still what is going to happen? And again, are you planning on adding the entrepreneurship piece to that?
We actually already have the food truck, and so that is part of the plan, is to be able to incorporate both the baking side and the restaurant side, so that there's both products being incorporated into, you know, into that food truck. And as far as the entrepreneurship, we have partnered with the Bucks County Community College, and so that's something that our counselors can help guide students on who are looking to go into that field, because they can actually get college credits if they want to open their own business. They can actually work with Bucks County Community College to get those credits ahead of time and be able to work on that simultaneously. So any parents or students who are listening who may want to be moving in that direction, speak to your guidance counselor about that opportunity. I know emails have gone out recently from the school highlighting that program, but it's definitely a great experience for kids to be prepared and really get a head start if that's the direction they're looking to go.
Yeah, and I like the addition of the restaurant and the plated desserts. I think it encompasses the new program and pathway. In my opinion, encompasses everything that a pastry chef is going to need out in the industry. So I am really appreciative of the fact that you took all of the comments and the emails and the letters very much into consideration, and I'm very grateful for that, for the sake of the students and the community.
Thank you. Dennis, how are we going to go through this? You just started at the top, but
There actually aren't any comments. It was just Mr. Odd asking questions on here. We don't have any.
Okay.
Actually,
There was
there's
one.
an and. there's
Oh, you mean
an
the
and.
hands, sorry.
Yeah, I
Well-
think we should do the.
And I'm kinda
the
watching
swing
the
of
call.
hands. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, there should be a reactions button that has a little smiley face. You can click on that. And,
Ian Gonsalves is the hand that I see.
yeah.
Do you want to let Mr. Ott in? Dr. Ott?
Let's try again. Ann Gonsalves, you want to speak? Your hand is up.
Where are you getting all these things?
Hi, sorry about that. I am absolutely thrilled with how the last meeting ended up with this wonderful Pathways program, because I have a current culinary student and as a senior, and I have a baking student as a junior. And even with them going out, I'm still interested in making sure that this program is, as amazing as it is, and then to continue growing and being even better. And this Pathways really sounds good, because I was very excited at the very end of the meeting, the last meeting, that brainstorming session that everybody had really had me kind of jazzed, because I was like, wow, this is the kind of energy and the ideas that we needed to kind of move the program forward. So it's even better than what it is already. And I'm ecstatic that the baking program is not going to be affected for my baking kit for next year. So I do like the fact that you're taking the year to really get the program really fleshed out and in a good solid foundation to go forward. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody see any other hands? Sorry. There's Vincent. Now's your chance, Vincent.
Hi, how is everyone?
Well, thank you. 60 seconds, Mr. Can you tell us where you're from?
So I'm Vincenzo Newsleys. I'm a culinary alumnus. I'm from Penridge, and I work in my family's restaurant in Sumney Town. It's called Dolce Vita. I was going to the Culinary Institute of America for food business management, so that would help me progress in that a little bit more. And the Pathways program that you mentioned seems pretty interesting to me. It's I wasn't able to go to the last meeting, so I'm not 100% positive how everything would work, all the details and like the more in-depth things on it. But I would like to comment on like my experience as a culinary student and like the interactions that I had with baking. I found it very nice to have like two very separate atmospheres, because honestly, a lot of the students that were in my class weren't interested in baking at all. Like when we would do our small units around like Christmas of the first year, a lot of them were very distant and like uninterested. So I'm not 100% positive if trying to like get them more like interacted with it is going to help very much, as well as the table service front of the house type of stuff. I think other than one or two students over my whole 4 years at the school, I think I was the only one that was not willing per se, but like excited or wanting to do the front of the house stuff. A lot of them seemed to be more focused on wanting to make food, learning just how to make food. They weren't interested in pastries or public services, I suppose. They just wanted to be in the back, make their food, and kind of just express themselves through that, as opposed to human interaction, I suppose.
Thanks, Vincent. And I can see why you specifically would have an urgency to learn that specific part of the business. We can see with your family in a restaurant. We're gonna go ahead and.
And he was
Thank
one
you.
of our award
Alumni.
winners last year as well in the competition
The
last
state,
year.
right?
The
Skills USA.
Skills USA competition. So to your point, that's exactly why this Pathways program would work well, is because kids can, they really pick their own path. And so the ones that don't want to go in that direction have the opportunity to kind of steer more towards the culinary side and less towards the baking side. But it at least gives, when you're looking at the numbers, there's a lot of kids coming in undecided, and even later into the program, it's really mixed on what they want to be doing. And this really gives students that initiative to guide where they go. But that's really helpful information, getting all of this feedback. And we also really appreciate all of the feedback that everybody brought to the last meeting. It makes better decisions when we're all sitting and having conversations and talking about experiences and pros and cons every way. And it made us all go to the drawing board and try to figure out the best solution for everyone. And, you were all part of that process. So.
Hey, there's one more hand up, and maybe if we say we're going to take this one last open comment before we close it out for now.
Yep. And
Marquisa? Is your hand up on purpose?
Yep, Marquesa Giswaldi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Marquesa Giswaldi. I am the pastry chef and owner of Au Petit Delice in Wayne, Pennsylvania. I'm a graduate of Bucks County Technical High School in Fairless Hills. I went there for culinary. I went to Bucks County Community College for pastry. I just want to say, I think the Pathways program sounds like a fantastic idea as an employer. One thing that I look for in prospective employees is their versatility and how much knowledge they have in multiple areas. I just think that cross-training across the board in culinary, baking, front of house, even in the dish pit area, having kids washing dishes, just any way that you can get these kids well-rounded as possible, I think is an excellent idea.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we'll move on then to administrative reports. We did not have an executive session. Correct?
Correct.
So we'll move on to the administrative reports, and we'll start with the director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Hallowell. Good evening, everyone. So we have some exciting news throughout the school last couple of days and weeks. First off, we'll start off with our 8 seniors in the Animal and Veterinary Science program. They received their Life Science Academy FFA Keystone degrees. The National Technical Honor Society will be meeting next Thursday at 6 p.m. We have 22 students that will be inducted into the National Technical Honor Society. Representative Stats will be honorary member and will be speaking here next Thursday. We have our senior ceremony will be the week of June 7th. We haven't nailed down the exact date, but we're looking, a couple different areas to have our senior ceremony. We're going to have it outside because of the restrictions still with COVID. And I'd like to welcome Donald Moyer. We just hired Mr. Moyer as a maintenance mechanic, and Megan Jones is our student service secretary, PIMS and Power School secretary. A couple of things that came in just today. We had Thane Getz. He is a student in our machining and engineering program. He's a junior at Quakertown Community High School. Thane is a first honor student, is OSHA certified, and has received an outstanding levels 1 and 2 awards in his program. He is a Skills USA competitor, has served as the Upper Bucks County Technical Skills USA president, and a Skills USA District 2 officer. Well, today, Thane went through a series of interviews the last few days, the last week, and was elected as a state officer for Skills USA. So I want to congratulate Thane on his accomplishments, and I believe he may be on, Dennis. Well, we invited Thane to come on. He's very excited, and he's excited to serve the state as an officer for Skills USA. So congratulations, Thane, on your great work, and we support you 100%. Next, we have a welding student. I'll pass some pictures around. Abigail Jacobs. Abigail's a student in our welding and fabrication program. She's a senior at Quakertown Community High School. Abigail is the first honor student and has received the most dedicated award in her program. She's a Skills USA competitor and has won first place in the welding sculpture state competition. Abigail has also been named Senior Student of the Month for February. Abigail is OSHA certified and is also a cooperative education student and employed at Clover Contracting. After graduation, Abigail plans to pursue her career in welding. So Abigail has did a sculpture in welding. I'm passing it around. It is a flower pot with flowers protruding. I don't know if you can show that on the camera. Everybody see that? And she won first place today, as a matter of fact. So
Wow.
state competition. So Abigail, again, congratulations. Thanks, Abigail. Abigail, would you like to say a few words? Where are you, Abigail?
Hi.
There you are. Oh,
I'm really thankful to be given first place. It's really an honor, and I'm also really thankful to everybody who helped me get to that point and encouraged me along the way.
By the way, Mr. Sweeta, her February Student of the Month picture is missing.
no, yeah, it's down in, right before her,
Yeah.
in the hallway of her class.
Good job, Abigail.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome. Congratulations.
Very good.
Yeah.
You need to get her to. She has to make something and leave it here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Abigail. I'd like to report out that we did have a Perkins audit. They came in, well, they didn't come in, but they come in and they look at all of the materials and funding that we've received from Perkins for the last few years. They went back as far as 3 years of data. So they look at everything. They look at lesson plans, they look at learning guides, they look at asset numbers. They want to make sure that the equipment that we've been buying through Perkins in the last few years is being used to educate our students and following the task list. So it was all positive. When it went very well. We were compliant in all the sections. Assurances, and there was some comments in one of the assurances. The reviewer liked the professional growth plan that the school has created for their instructors, professional development activities. This is a great idea to help teachers manage their professional development and take ownership of what activities will best help them in the specialization. Another one was, the second or special education plan, which I'll be reporting out shortly. Perkins commended the school has been putting a greater emphasis on the IEP process and the special education at Upper Bucks. We shared a presentation during the review, and it's called the IEP Transition Planning presentation. The presentation was to discuss how the school is strengthening CTE to help reduce disparities and performance gaps in students and special populations. The school is also using resources like Patton, Bureau of Special Ed, Bureau of CTE to work on student transitions in CTE. This is the first year working with the 3 districts that we are actually having IEP meetings right now for our new students that are entering our building next year. So we are working tirelessly with our student services, our special ed teachers, our guidance counselors, principal. We're all working on making sure that our students will be properly served the first day they walk into the school. So that's a huge step that hasn't happened, and we're very proud of that and put a lot of work and effort into that. So it's been paying off, and here's a federal organization coming in and commending us on our efforts in the special ed department.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's all my team there.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Keep it up.
And we did receive an articulation agreement from Delaware Valley University. They're going to provide students a wide variety of academic coursework. For the case, principles of agricultural science, animal, they'll be receiving 3 credits, and principles of agricultural science, plant, will be receiving 3 credits. The students must successfully complete the articulation science curriculum with a B average or better, 3.0 or better, and submit an official transcript to Delaware Valley University to receive these articulation agreements. So we are out there knocking on doors and making sure that our students are, have a path if they choose to go post-secondary. So there are credits that we're going to be pulling in. And that's about it, Chairman.
We're gonna
And now,
go student month over to.
So now I'll move on to Mr. G. He'll introduce our student of the month.
Thank you, Mr. Suya. Good evening. I'm Chris Chenalez, the supervisor of CTE, and I have the honor and privilege of announcing the student of the month for April. Jacqueline Gluck, a senior in Mr. Caleb Miller's carpentry program, has been named student of the month for April at the Upper Bucks County Technical School. Jacqueline is the daughter of Robert and Patricia Gluck and attends Quakertown Community High School. Jacqueline is a cooperative education student trainee employed by HAP Contractors in Doylestown, PA. She is an entry-level carpenter and has received all excellent evaluations from her employer. Jacqueline has also excelled in the carpentry program and was elected president of this class by her peers. She has earned the OSHA 10-hour safety certification for the construction industry. Jacqueline is also an active member of the UBCTS Skills USA chapter and has served as vice president of this organization. She has attended the Skills USA Professional Development Conference, Ambassador Leadership Training, and the Associated Builders and Contractors Let's Build Camp for Girls. Jacqueline contributes to the community by serving as the chairperson for the UBCTS Holiday Gift Card Project. This event benefits teen foster children. After graduation, Jacqueline plans to seek opportunities and an apprenticeship in the carpentry field. Jacqueline, if you're with us tonight, on behalf of myself, the administrative team, JOC, and staff at UBCTS, congratulations and best of luck in your future endeavors. I do see, Jacqueline, that you are with us tonight. Would you like to say a few words? Mr. Miller, I believe you're with us too.
I'll actually say thank you. I'm really thankful for all the opportunities that the school's given me. I've gotten way more from you guys than I have just with Quakertown by itself. So I'm really thankful for that.
Well said, Jackie. Congratulations. Mr. Miller. You're on mute, Mr. Miller. Well, he's not. There he is. Okay. I think we lost him. Technical difficulties. All right. Yeah, I think we lost him. He must have just disconnected. So. Man, a few words they say.
Sorry, Mr. Miller, I didn't want you to disappear, but you disappeared.
Oh, there we go. Hold on. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, loud and clear. All right. This is the age we live in. I just want to say real quickly, we couldn't be more proud in Jackie. She has been in my program for 4 years and has taken advantage of every single opportunity that Upper Bucks County Technical School has to offer. And in a time where the demand for skilled workers in the construction trades couldn't be higher, I'm really happy that Jackie is going out to fulfill that demand as a lady in the construction trades as well. So congratulations, Jackie.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
I'd also like to recognize all of my instructors and all of my seniors. They gone a huge task this week and they started their NOCI written test. So the NOCI written test has anywhere between 150 to 220 some questions. And we have seen a tremendous growth between all of our programs. From anywhere between a 3.2% all the way up to a 27.5% growth from post-test or pre-test to post-test. So phenomenal, being in school, thanks to our health and safety plan, thanks to following the safety guidelines of CDE, the Bucks County Health Department, being vigilant and receiving grant money, and you guys giving us some more money to make sure that we can keep the school open. Our kids absolutely benefited from being in school. They'll have 1 week off, and then they'll be coming back the following week, and they'll be taking their performance. So we're hoping that I'll be reporting out next month the increase of our scores. So with everything that our teachers are doing in the classroom, we've been implementing the last 2.5 years have been now showing dividends, and our students are benefiting tremendously from it. So again, thank you for all my seniors, and of course all of my instructors for all of your hard, dedicated work. So congratulations, you guys, and I'm proud of you, and we have 1 more week to go, and we're gonna make sure that we're the best of the best. So thank you.
And Mr. Hollowell, there's a comment from Mrs. Danka. Just to clarify, it was 8 veterinary science seniors who received their Keystone degrees through the FFA, a state level honor that is incredibly hard to achieve. And this is the largest number of senior FFA members we have ever had receive this honor. So.
I hope everybody could hear that.
Was that too quiet?
And the mic's up there.
I haven't been accused of being too quiet before. This is like a first for me.
Okay. Just checking. Okay.
Well, the comment is also in the chat. If anyone couldn't hear me, scroll up a little bit.
Okay.
Congratulations to all those students.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
awesome. It's really neat.
We have special ed report yet?
Yes. So Dennis will share the screen.
It's coming. Where's that sound? There we go.
Go to the next slide. Okay, so I'll try to make it quick, brief. We brought in the Bucks County IU last year to do a little bit of an audit on our special education program, well, the special education department, and trying to bring in the best practices for our instructors to share with our students. So based on the BCIU's program review of 1920, the team developed a 2-year action plan, professional development components, staffing review, financial impacts, and implement timeline, which is embedded. Based on the BCIU's program review. Next slide, please. There you go.
You want their review one?
Right there, number 3, yeah, the review. The Bucks County Union Unit training came in, they call themselves a tax support team. Lenny Greeny effectively facilitated meetings between Upper Bucks and the 3 sending districts. And to increase communication, these meetings have been very productive and have helped improve communication across the school districts. We compile quality indicators for effective inclusion, research-based through the multidisciplinary team representing Upper Bucks stakeholder facets. They prioritize, define incoming student transition meetings, which is completed. So that's what we talked about earlier. The transition meetings are happening right now. So we have 120 some.
Yes.
But 120 some new IEP students coming into the building, into our programs next year. And we anticipate that there'll be some, we might miss a few in the summertime. So we make sure that we're going to have our special education teachers. We allowed them granted them extra hours in our guidance counselors because we know we're not going to get everyone, but we do have a large majority of the kids now. So that, like I said earlier, that is a huge step for us. We prioritize professional development based on the framework. Our UB40, we call it the UB40 team meets once a week.
Yes.
Red wine.
Yeah.
So what that means is that we sit down with our guidance counselors, special ed teachers, and we look at students that may be at that failing rate or at that cut score, and we try to make sure that we get into the classroom and find out what the problems may be. So we have saw a huge decrease in the number of students that are in that UB40 from the beginning of the year till now. Because we're showing them, we want to get in there and help them, give them extra help that they may need, that they may not be reaching out for. We're going to continue to utilize the tax as needed. Dr. Herrera and Jamie Lill from the Bucks IU program and specialists identified are the point persons. And our budget, we did budget an additional special ed instructor for the 21-22 school year. So we'll be advertising for that individual. Hopefully we'll start next week. And I want to try to have a name before the break of July. So that'll be in the June meeting. The UDL overview. It's a universal design learning. That's what the UDL is. Scientifically valid framework for guiding educational practices. So we're providing flexibility in the ways information is presented, the ways that students are responding. Our teachers are adapting their curriculum. They're not rewriting, they're adapting curriculum. If they don't have a curriculum, then they're writing a curriculum, but they are going to adapt the curriculums towards, the individual students. We're reducing barriers in instruction, provide appropriate accommodations, supports, challenges, maintain high achievement. Our expectations at the current tech center are set at a high standard because business and industry, they are looking for that special student. They're looking for that individual that's going to come out and, not only be there on time and physical work, but they also have to have that mental capacity as well. We're looking at, opportunities of higher education. Professional development in year one. You can click on that it used to work. But we have special or professional development every year, beginning of the year, during the year, and at the end of the year. And we've increased ESL training. Can't bring it up.
Have we seen an increase in need for ESL concentration?
We have ESL training, so we incorporate that every year. Next year we're going to incorporate IEP, how to read an IEP, how to identify deficiencies, reading SPIs, explaining to our instructors.
Our teachers will be brought up to speed with expectations.
Yes.
I don't have permissions to that.
Okay. Well, that's my fault.
Sorry about that.
Then we introduced the UDL program, and it's evidence-based practices that we're implementing, and we're prioritizing executive function skills. So the administration had 2 hours of training. Teachers have a 2-hour training opening day. They're going to be doing another 2-hour training again in August, as we all will. There'll be Canvas self-directed course to be completed throughout the year. We'll be chunking and facilitation of 6 to 8 hours. We'll provide CP overview of the setting school case managers. What we're trying to accomplish, I mentioned with the 3 supers at one of our superintendent meetings. I think that we would like to try to incorporate or have possibly 3 or 4, depending on the amount of students coming from each district, designated case managers to work with our individuals here, our special ed teachers, our guidance counselors, where we're going to eliminate, the communication will become better. The understanding of our programs with the same case workers. I don't know if it can happen or not, because I don't know the dynamics of the setting districts, but having the same caseworkers working with our same people, with your students coming, our students, the setting districts caseworkers will understand our programs much better than having 15 or 16 caseworkers. So we're trying to, that's a plan that I haven't really laid out totally, but it's in progress. And I think it would eliminate a lot of the confusion that may happen between scheduling, run into IEP meetings, which we're about to run. We're going to be Zooming them. But again, I think that having individual workers or individual caseworkers from the school districts and having them understand our programs and the kids, their kids, our kids in those programs year after year after year, it'll solidify a lot of confusion. And I think that's where we brought the IU in back in 1920. We're also going to provide CT overview to the setting school district case managers, preferably 3. Would like to become aware of any special education PD given from our setting districts. So any of the PD that the setting districts are advertising or offering for their instructors, we like to offer those for our instructors as well. So we're going to be working with our LEAs, working with our assistant superintendents, and bringing that communication gap tremendously tighter than it was in the past. So the timeline 1920, we did the review. 2021, we convened with the IU. They came in a couple of times. February and March, we created transitions, admissions, IEP process plan, presented budget to the JOC. That's in process. April, May, started having IEP meetings, incoming students, present special education plan to the JOC. June 21st, present new special education instructor candidate to the JOC for approval. 21-22, continue our UDL training for the staff development. Special education teachers push into the classroom. So our special ed teachers are spending more time in the classroom. Although this pandemic has really been, a pain for us, the Zooming has saved travel time for teachers, special ed teachers in the past would leave the school and be out of the building and not supporting our students. So we implemented a push in last year and wanting our special ed teachers in the classroom, working with our teachers, next to our students, and we've seen a tremendous growth. So bringing that third special ed teacher in, our caseload right now for each one of our special ed teachers currently is about 140 students, which is outrageous. Not only do they have to go into the programs, but they also have to sit in IEP meetings, on a daily basis. So very, very busy. But we need to increase that and make sure that we're supporting every one of our students in every one of our programs. So we did a review this year, and the implementation completed by the end of next school year. We currently have, I just talked about it, I'm a little further ahead, but currently we have 2 special education instructors with a caseload of 140 students because of our IEP population is 40.1% between IEP and 504 students. And we're not going to be participating off campus. We'll be doing phone conferences and Zoom conferences. Big push this year would be having our instructors involved as well, especially for our new students who knows the trade better than the instructor. So if there's any technical questions from the parent or the student, our instructor will be able to answer those questions. They only have to go in to give their input. It could be 10, 15 minutes, give the input, ask any questions, answer any questions, share what would be expected their first year, the first year students, share their task list, give them some, input, grading, so on and so forth. And we have saw a tremendous growth and I think our students coming in will be much better prepared, a little bit more comfortable because they've already met their teacher. Instead of coming in the first day, they at least saw that person on the camera. We do plan on having a next year or beginning of the year before school starts, about a week before school starts, we want to have an orientation, freshman orientation, where I'm gonna invite the parents and the students in, and we'll almost like have a freshman college orientation where we'll have food out in the parking lot, we'll have music, we'll have the students walking through the building, walking through the programs, learning the building a little bit, show them which way they have to come in when they get off the buses, have the parents, talking to us, or the instructors that may be here that day. So a lot of new things are going to implement that we wanted to do last year that COVID prevented us. So hopefully next year, the school year, that we're going to have these kids coming in, and they'll be very prepared when they come in for the first day. So staffing review continued. We had a student services administrator resign in 1920, and that has not been replaced. This position was responsible for oversight of the special education department. Upper Bucks works with multiple layers of personnel from their sending district. So, I talked a little bit about it earlier. The districts may have a director, supervisor, and up to 17 case managers. The identification of one central point of contact by the sending school superintendents went very well. So this year we had one point of contact from each one of the districts, which was tremendous. Communication was direct. It wasn't passed down the line. So it worked out very well, and we're going to continue that. And members of the TAC team worked very closely with Upper Buck staff the last couple of years, and we're going to continue. They come in, they'll walk through the building, they'll observe our teachers, and they'll look at our best practices that we're presenting to our teachers, and make sure that we're on top of our game. The financial impacts, overall budget this year, 0.41%, not even 0.5%. Thank you, Tracy, for all of your hard work. And that's, including a position, a special ed position, and additional hours of special teachers and counselors to attend IEP meetings and prepare for the incoming students to comply with Chapter 339, and budget for professional development for all staff. So, we make sure we have budgeted for next year all of our PD for our staff. Our goals, of course, increase NOCTI and NIMS assessment scores, increase task completion for Upper Bucks, graduated competent or advanced level, 80% for 2-year students, 60% for a 1-year student. 100% of the Upper Bucks graduates will have earned at least one industry certification. Multiple certifications are encouraged per program, which most of our programs are offering multiple certifications. So we're doing very well in the certifications, and we seem to be continuing adding new certifications every year. So that's a great thing. Our goals to continue our goals: increase graduate, the opportunity to earn college credits, which we're working on articulation agreements, increase opportunities for our graduates to career upon graduation, the field of study, continue the post-secondary education or the military. And we believe that all students are capable of reaching these goals with the necessary support set in place, which we've been setting in place, for the last few years now. The purpose is to strengthen CTE for 21st century, and it requires to reduce disparities and performance gaps for those students historically underserved or special populations, in addition to doing what's suitable for students. In our mission, we must develop a system within the school that fully ensures our special population is treated fairly during the admission process, support their program area, and can access resources needed to succeed in the workplace. And we, like I mentioned earlier, we've made tremendous strides with our 3 sending districts, working closely together to make sure that these goals are obtainable, and to make sure that the supports are here for our students. This is just an extension building of your current buildings, And we want to make sure that they have the same opportunities here as they have in your sending at the home school. And it's been, tremendous seeing this plan, where it started, where we are, and where we're going to be headed. That's all I have. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I did. I guess it's more of a comment that I believe, this place is very important for many kids with IEPs and many kids with other learning disabilities, because the hands-on instruction that they're offered here on top of their in-class instruction may be a lot more conducive to learning than they would be getting in their home school. So I believe that's why it's so popular and why it's so important that this school continues to push to improve conditions or improve the learning environment for all students, especially the most needy ones.
I'm just going to speak up and agree with Chris totally, 100% everything he said.
Thank you. I agree. I mean, our teachers are doing a fabulous job. Our students love being here. I walk around, talk to our students daily, fist pumping them in the hallways, talk to them the first day of school when they came in. They were so happy that we had the building open. They're so happy to be here to learn a trade, and that's kudos to the instructors and having the building open and just keep going forward. Just trying to improve every aspect of the building, whether it be, the way it looks, which is great. The new $800,000 renovation over the Ag building, which is tremendous. And implementing best practices to help our instructors. And that's all going to trickle down to our students, and it's showing with our NOCI scores. And that's our goal. Any other questions?
Very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have for you, Chair.
Do you need any kind of formal approval on that plan?
Well,
Okay.
was already built in budget.
Okay. That takes care of the administrative reports. We have subcommittee reports. We'll start with the facilities.
Okay, I could give a real quick summary of that, I guess, since I'm the facilities chairman. We did discuss we're going to put out bids to look for a new electronic sign out front. The electronic sign hasn't worked.
Yeah, we have.
Oh yeah, sure.
So we do have a few bids for the electronic sign. We're waiting for one more.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as that other one comes in, we have 3 of them. We did reach out to some local individuals, waited for a long time, but we are waiting for that third bid for the electronic sign that has been broken for the last 2 years. We're also looking at potential, we're going to start looking at projects. I hope my construction guys aren't on, Mr. Miller. We're going to get another project in construction and plumbing, but we're also looking at replacing the 2 signs out on Ridge Road. They're like a foam type of sign, and they're starting to decay. So as soon as we come up with a design and I go through our local zoning, we'll be bringing that to you probably next month.
Maybe
Yes,
like our kids in welding make a really awesome sign.
I was just gonna say, can we use our
Can we get
kids
some
to
sort
like
of a
make something
filter on
really?
it?
Design, yeah, that would be a good idea.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, so
the
they were
design
saying-
and then
Didn't
we just.
get it. Yeah, that's what he was talking about.
That's why I was saying, hopefully Mr. Miller's not on.
And with-
Now he's giving me a project.
So wait, what's the plumbing for? They gonna put like gas lines out and have flames coming out of the sign? I think that would be awesome.
I don't think the township will really.
Figure out how to put like as
Bird
many
lands on
different
it.
groups as you
Every
can
hour on
involved in that project. That'd be awesome.
We thought about like a water fountain or something, but.
But if flames come out of it, a bird lands on it, then the culinary kids can, I mean, you can work
You can bake on it
classes
too.
to this
All right, we're getting off
whatsoever.
topic here, folks. Come on.
Do we need a sign committee too?
Right, so that's basically what we were talking about in facilities. So, I'd like to get the school involved, I'd like to get my programs and my kids involved to, maybe come up with a design, help us, do as much as we can on our own, which will lower the cost. Although, we all know that supplies are through the roof, but this might help us and give our kids some, great experience.
Oh, so I was gonna say, that's the experience. It doesn't really cost more, if it costs the same and our students get something out of it, it's really worthwhile.
It would just be a neat representation of once you drive past or drive up to the school, it's like, there it is on display of what our kids came up with. So I think that's a really neat idea. I love it.
Yeah, looking forward to interested in seeing what you guys come up with.
Okay, that's it for the facility. Finance committee, Tracy or Teresa?
Okay, so tonight we went over that the Bucks County IU's 3-year addendum is up, and that will be on the board agenda for approval. We talked about the server purchases. Dennis is looking into the servers. It was in the budget for this fiscal year. However, trying to get the pricing in, we're not sure if it's actually going to be able to be done until next year. So I did talk with the auditors, and she recommended that we could do a transfer from the general fund to our capital account. So next month will be a transfer for approval for $70,000 to transfer general fund to the capital projects for the servers. There's a food service agreement with Penn Ridge that will be on next month. I just wanted you guys to be able to see it, discuss it if you have any questions. And then we'll have the budget will be open next month for all the grants to receive. Then also there'll be an agenda item for Divot to do a 2-year commitment so that we get the rate relief credit of $43,000. So that's pretty much it for finance. Any questions?
Just the IU contract is not a 3-year contract.
It's the third year, year
Right.
3, correct.
What comes after that?
That's an excellent question. You don't have to decide it tonight, but you are.
But it's open-ended at that point. That is an issue for them.
Correct. Next year. It's not going to automatically renew when there's no proposed addendum for a year 4, so you do have to revisit that.
Okay. We'll move on then to the program committee.
Okay, we did that.
Do we want to add anything more to that?
Well, I'll just highlight it again, since we did have someone comment in here that said that they couldn't hear. Just a brief overview of what we're talking about doing is putting the culinary and baking program into a pathways program where kids start out learning about learning through both programs and then start to be able to specialize as they go through in each of the different pathways. And then we're forming a committee that's going to bring a final report to us in January, but report back to us monthly at the programs committee meeting on the progress and status. And that committee would include Mr. Herrera, Mrs. Penn, and Mr. Gersick, along with whomever else the administration feels makes sense. And then we're going to try to have PDE come to our next, a representative from PDE come in and walk through the Pathways program with us, along with answering any questions and with JOC members at the next programs committee meeting. So.
Okay. Policy committee also met.
The policy as a whole committee discussed, reviewed, and moved 3 sets of policies to the following steps. Policies for second and first reading, which are included on tonight's agenda for public comment, were recommended to be voted upon with for JOC approval. The policies in committee, which include withdrawal from school, student complaint process, pregnant married students, awards, and a new policy dating violence, were suggested to be moved for first reading at next month's JOC agenda.
Okay, anything to add? Anybody, question? The Act 93 subcommittee did not meet, but we will be meeting on the 20th of April, Tuesday, which is next week.
Yes.
Hey, we're aware, and we'll be there. That takes care of the committee meetings, and we'll move into the consent calendar, which at this point, the first motion would include the March minutes, the March financial reports, the April bills payable, and the personnel recommendations.
So moved, Mr. Hoffman.
Second. Mr. Reed. questions or comments? Okay, any opposed to the motion? Any abstentions to the motion? Hearing no nays, no abstentions, the motion passes 9-0. Next item is summer hours. We need a motion to approve a 4-day summer work week starting June 14th through August 27th. Employees continue to work 40 hours per week.
I'll second.
Mr. Reese, Mr. Rockmowitz. Any questions or comment?
I hope they enjoy their long weekend.
Yes.
I thought Mr. Sweeta worked 8 days a week. That's what I heard.
9.
He's not part of that group. Okay. Are there any opposition to the motion? Any abstentions to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes 9-0. Next item is motion to approve the contract with Tyler Technologies to add the human resources module to the current Infinite Vision software package in the amount of $13,920.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Reese?
Second.
Dennis Clemens. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Any opposed to the motion? Any abstentions to the motion? Hearing no abstentions, no nays, the motion passes 9-0. Next item.
Tracy's clapping.
Next item is the Health Care Consortium renewal. Motion to approve a 2-year commitment with the Delaware Valley Health Insurance Trust as of July 1, 21 through June 30th of 23.
So moved.
John Clements. Dennis Clements. Any questions on this one? Seeing
We
none?
tried.
Okay. Seeing none, any opposition to the motion? Any abstentions to the motion? Hearing none, motion passes 9-0. Next item, a motion to approve the revised policies 103, 146.1, 203, 207, 209, 209.1, and 209.2. They were distributed in February and recommended by the policy.
A second.
This is the final read? Yes. Okay. Any questions, comments on these? Okay. Is there any opposition to the motion? Is there any abstention to the motion? Hearing none, motion passes 9-0. Next item. There's a motion to approve Bucks County Intermediate Unit to provide business services effective July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 in the amount of $255,440.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Reese. Any comments or questions?
Money well spent.
I
Yes,
believe it.
absolutely.
Hearing no comments, is there any opposition to the motion? Are there any abstentions to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes 9-0. Next item. Motion to approve the use of the UBCPS parking lot to the Bucks County Planning Commission for the household hazardous waste collection on May 8th, 2021, pending the return of certification.
It would be my honor to make a motion that.
I'll second it. Mr. Klein.
Right? Nope. Mr. Klein, there you go. Okay, any additions or comments or questions? We're glad to do it this year. That being said, is there any opposition to the motion? Excuse me?
Isn't this been done before they advertise that it was be at the school?
We can't understand you. I assume it's Mr. Roth?
I think he was asking whether the event was going to be advertised.
It will be advertised.
It is.
Justin, you're breaking up and we can't hear you. Can you put it in the chat?
That it's going to be at the school. So this had been done before advertised.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rob, we can't understand you.
Shouldn't this have been done before?
What is it?
Shouldn't have been the motion before.
I feel like we already passed this, guys. Like honestly,
I think what happened is this year there was a delay in the whole thing. So it sort of got announced by other powers before they told the school that it was happening. So this was the first meeting you had a chance to actually get it on.
Has it happened here in the past?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's probably why they just assumed that it would, but you're right, it probably should have taken place after the approval.
It was a miscommunication thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a little bit late on this approval, but I think it's still a good idea.
Although if somebody drops us off a nice steel oil tank, we could probably make a cool sign out of it.
No. All right. Any other comments, questions? All right. Are there any opposition to the motion? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes 9-0. The next motion will be on concerning the baking and pastry arts program.
I'll move to create a pathways program with culinary arts and baking and pastry arts to be implemented in the 2022-2023 school year.
Make the motion.
I made the motion. You can second.
I'll
it.
second.
Mr. Kermit does second.
I seconded.
Sounds like somebody else is in favor. Any other comments? Hearing none? Going once, going twice, what do we got up there? Okay. I think that's all in support of the motion.
Jim Ott says no.
Hmm?
Jim Ott says no.
Ms. Roth says no, okay.
Wait, you said no to the previous vote or
This one,
this one?
previous.
Well, that's exactly what this plan does.
We're voting to make a plan.
Yeah, and the vote is to establish.
Yeah, the vote is not to.
We're not
vote is to
actually
make
breaking
the
up any
plan and
program.
figure out how to do it.
Yeah, the vote's not to actually break up or create anything new. The vote is to explore the creation.
Correct. Are we okay?
So in other words, Dr. Ott, we're gonna have to vote on the actual plan again later.
Yeah.
After the plan is developed, you'll then get an opportunity to vote again, which will be in February.
Well, we also get the opportunity to contribute to the plan.
Right, exactly.
Right. So now we need to know.
Okay.
So did that change your mind? Or are you still a no or a yes?
He said, okay.
Well, we didn't vote yet, so.
Well, I'm getting there. As soon as I get the opportunity, we're gonna vote.
When we establish that committee, is there gonna be a JOC part to that committee as well, or? I remember
We can
you mentioned
include-
before it was just gonna be,
We
Dr.
can
Rivera.
include the programs committee in that.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Executive order.
Sounds good.
Usually we just give the up or down.
That's right.
We usually don't, we're not involved in the planning.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote. Yes?
Make a motion.
You're the president.
Okay, we're gonna vote on this, and I'm gonna ask for any opposition to the vote, any nays? Do we see any? I see none. There's no abstentions to the vote? Okay, that being said, the motion passes 9-0.
I'm very excited to see what we come up with, guys.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. That is awesome.
That takes care of the action agenda.
So just to go back, there was one comment highlighting the FFA students and their names so that they could be recognized. Caitlin Kovaleski from Quakertown, Julio Escobar Mendoza from Penridge, Sierra Capusta from Penridge, Bryn Lansberg from Quakertown, Corinne Long from Quakertown, Caleb Roth from Quakertown, Abigail Trotter from Penridge, and Bridget Witt from Quakertown.
Woo, go Quakertown.
There are a lot of Quakertown. Sorry if I butchered any one of your names.
That being said, do we have any more public comment on basically anything?
Mr. Hallowell, I just forwarded all the members the flyer for that recycling event.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment?
I don't see any.
I'll give it another few moments.
I'll take any.
Are we good? Anything,
Yep.
Dennis?
I think we're
Anybody
good.
see anything?
Good.
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, we'll move on then to announcements. The next regular JSC board meeting is scheduled for May 20th here in the boardroom. Any other announcements? Do we have any JSC concerns?
Just want to remind everybody, the restaurant's open. Everybody out there in the public. Did we remind everyone that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's actually Tuesday through Friday now. They just expanded to Friday too, 12 to 1.
So that's wild.
And the bakery
Same
is the
time.
same time, same days. Is that, did they expand to Friday as well?
Yep, they will be.
And then cosmetology, I believe is just Thursday and Friday, but someone can chime in if I'm
Appointments.
wrong.
Friday, it's 50%, so they have plenty, because it's at 50% capacity cosmetology, they have like a wait list for
Okay.
people that are doing that. And if you check on upcoming events on the website just before